So this is trending, which is Harvey Weinstein having a retrial, I think, today or whatever.
Well, the sex assault retrial for Harvey Weinstein is set to begin this week. Tomorrow, in fact, jury selection begins.
The trial is expected to last 4 to 6 weeks. The retrial will cover 2 charges of assault and 1 of rape stemming from allegations by 3 different women. Joining us this morning, criminal defense attorney Arthur Idala. He is representing Harvey Weinstein.
Hold on. How can it be only 3 women? Because the impression I got when this happened was that he was basically doing this with every woman in Hollywood, pretty much. 3 women. Has it been reduced to only 3?
Back on Good Day.
Nice to see you.
So we're hearing Harvey Weinstein's not in the best shape as far as his health.
No, he was suffering 5 years ago. People were wondering
this
5 years
lawyer
ago when he was walking into the courtroom with a walker, whether it was malingering or putting on an act for the jury. He flipped and rolled his Jeep. And I have pictures of it. I have hospital records of it.
Why is he so happy about it?
In August of 19.
Hold on. Why? He's his lawyer, and he sounds awfully happy about him flipping his Jeep.
Pictures of it. I have hospital records of it. Jeep. And I have pictures of it. I have hospital records of it in August of 2019, and he has been going downhill since.
But he was in the hospital this weekend.
This weekend, I mean, he's gained a lot of weight, and they're worried about it's all liquid water around his heart. This weekend, he's got a horrible infection in his mouth, his throat, and he's struggling to speak. And guys, when you're about to go on trial, and you need to communicate with your lawyer, and lawyers, not being able to speak very well is not a good thing. They took him to Bellevue on Saturday. He begged them, let me just stay here overnight so you can continue to medicate me. They promised the medication would go with him to Rikers. It didn't. And people will say, oh, who cares? He's convicted. Well, no, he's not convicted anymore. His case was reversed. He's presumed innocent. And in the United States of America, and especially New York, nobody in Rikers Island should be being treated the way they are right now. It's not just Harvey. That place is a disaster.
Hold on. If he hasn't been convicted, does that mean they didn't have enough evidence or what?
Needs to be addressed.
Do you want this?
I was just going to ask, is he ready to go to trial
do you want
tomorrow?
this delayed?
Maybe.
No, we definitely don't want it delayed. The judge has been fantastic in trying to get him help, but believe it or not, a New York State judge, even though they were elected, they were appointed by the governor, the mayor, signed an order that he should be hospitalized, that Harvey should be hospitalized. The Department of Corrections said, sorry, judge, we're in charge of the security for people, not you, and they're keeping him in Rikers. We don't want it delayed. Harvey's health is deteriorating quickly. The game plan is to win this trial. He then goes to California. His appeal is almost completed. If he won that appeal, he would at least be able to go home until the California case plays itself out.
Okay, so let's clear this up now.
I mean, buying off the women.
This is a retrial that the jury is being selected for the state charges, which he was convicted, got 23 years, then on appeal, due to technicality with witness, a witness say should not have testified.
No, it was actually it was a couple more than, believe me, I argued it. It's like I'm being punished because I won the appeal.
Okay, so
now
you believe he bought off the women.
We can talk about that part. The flip side of
it, I don't defend this guy, but I also want to try to be, I don't know, fair, if you want to say that. Like, if what I understood is, at least from what I understood, it might be worse than that, but what I understood is the women got roles if they, blew him and shit like that. I don't know what it was. I've been following this really, but I know that, there was an exchange happening. So they did what they did. And within that, they had a choice. That's from my understanding that, well, if you don't want this role, then you don't blow me, Regardless of what you think about that behavior, right? It's retarded behavior. But that's not force, is it? That's like, you do me a favor, I make you into a movie star kind of a deal, right? If you want to see it like that. And if that's the case, and it isn't real grape and shit like that, if that's the case, then I don't think he should in prison, because that's how it works. You might not like it, but he's in a position to give you roles, and you're not in that position to get the role but he gives you an offer. This just sounds freaky to even talk about, but he gives you an offer. Do you really want to be a movie star? Well, suck my dick. That's it. You want it? Here, come and take it. You know what I mean?
16 years in California still exists right now. I know he's appealing that. My question,
Like,
after laying that
absolutely, he is guilty of being a fucking creep and shit like. But if it's consensual, it's consensual. You know what I mean?
What do you expect to be different in this trial than was in 2020 when he was convicted?
So that's a great question.
I mean, don't a lot of women do that anyways in regular life? You know, they give sex, they want something from the man. Let's say he's rich, and she doesn't really like him, but she knows he's rich. It's like, all right, I'll give him sex. In return, he will buy me diamond rings and a car. Isn't that kind of the same fucking thing in a way? But instead, here is the woman initiating the creepiness of it. You know what I mean? Here is the woman actually initiating it. Like, I'll sleep with that creep, but I don't like him, but he has a lot of money, so I'll sleep with him. You know? Here's the other way around. He is telling you, you better sleep with me if you want this role. It's flipped around. The woman is in the back seat. Like, he is the one in charge, not the woman. In the other situation, the woman was in charge, like, in a way. Do you know what I'm trying to say? What's up, Rabbit? Wouldn't you if it was you? Suck Harvey Weinstein's cock for a role in a movie? No, fuck no, I wouldn't.
In 2020,
Are you insane?
You know, he was charged with 5 things in 2020. He was found not guilty of 3 of them and found guilty of 2 of them. The biggest difference is...
But if I was single and it was like, I don't know, a decent-looking older woman, you know what I mean? That was the head of whatever the fuck the head of. And I was an actor, and I was single, and I really wanted that part. And the woman was, you know, barely fuckable, but it's possible, you know. I would do it. I would whore myself in that situation. Just like these women whored themselves out. And now when things have dried out, they want to make money in another way. Maybe. No, pay them off is what we're talking about, huh? Well, listen. If they can be bought off, I don't know.
World we live in. Back then, guys, it was me too, me too. We're walking through protests. Literally, while we were in the courtroom, they would protest outside that we could hear through the windows. Harvey's a rapist. Fry Harvey. You know, that's all gone. You know, we tried the case 5 years ago. Seriously, the only time people heard the word corona had to do with a beer. They didn't know about this pandemic that was going to destroy the world to some degree, and October 7th, and George Floyd. Like, so much has happened that...
Do you hear what he's saying? He's kind of implying that hadn't it been for COVID and George Floyd, shit like that, the Me Too movement probably would have been stronger today. Like, those things has taken away from the Me Too movement. And then Amber Heard came in and finished the Me Too movement completely with that trial with Johnny Depp. That was the death blow to the Me Too movement. Amber Heard did that.
Vibe for a jury is Harvey Weinstein is the worst person on the planet Earth, and you got to convict him at all costs, is gone. So that's a big difference. And Rosanna, the change of judge is a big difference. The case was reversed last time because that prior judge made so many bad rulings against Harvey. This judge is much more fair-minded and enjoys a very, very excellent reputation.
So, Professor, are concerned about some of the comments that you said about one of the witnesses.
Always concerned. They're always concerned about
They felt that you disparaged one of the witnesses.
Yeah, well, you know, I won't do it now, but obviously that's what we're going to do in the courtroom. Harvey's defense has always been, yes, these interactions happened. They were totally consensual. No one complained about them for years. I mean, this was all that came out in the last trial, where he was acquitted of a lot of the charges. So we're going to make the same argument. Not that it wasn't him, it didn't happen. It's that, yes, it happened, but he said it was consensual. They said it was consensual for decades, and then they can turn...
Right? Some of these Hollywood stars, why did they wait like 20 years? And many of these same people, I've seen them on the podium thanking Harvey Weinstein. like, oh, the main man, Harvey Weinstein. Without you, this wouldn't be possible. So I really want to thank you, Harvey. Mwah.
They turned their story around when the Me Too thing exploded.
Was it quid pro quo? They knew that if they slept with Harvey, they would get a role. Let's face it.
Well,
I mean, the casting couch was
the crime scene. That's my defense. The casting couch is
okay. Let's flip it. Let's say this is real. Let's say Harvey Weinstein, in a weird world, he put out an ad. Okay, you know, like, we're looking for this actor, la 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 la. And main things for you to get this role might be, you know, you have to suck my dick, or, you know, let me fuck you. That would be one of the criterias. Okay, that was the ad. Okay, and he put it out there for the role. How many women do you think would willingly apply and willingly suck his dick with joy? I think there would be a lot of them. A lot that would be applying for that. I've seen worse shit. You know what I mean?
Around forever, and I'm not saying it's right, but I'm just saying that, you know, there are some people who knew that to do that, they would get a role.
There were, I think, a lot of people who...
And he knew to do that.
But I think the charges are more than just they slept together. The charges is that he forced them to sleep with him, which is a different case than the casting couch, if you will. Again, not that
if it is forced, that's a different thing.
It's two sides of the story.
Right.
So, you know, they're saying it was forced, and he's saying it wasn't forced. We went out, we had champagne. I said, you want to come to my apartment at 2 o'clock in the morning? Probably wasn't to read scripts. So, you know, we'll see what happens. I mean, we feel a lot better this time than last time because of the vibe in the United States of America around Me Too. We've seen a lot of cases being reversed, or people not being convicted on the Me Too stuff. The whole believe all women thing is against the United States of America. We don't believe all anything. We don't believe all priests. We don't believe all rabbis. We don't, you know, that's the jury's role, is the witnesses assess their credibility and they decide who they believe and who they don't.
You still got the 16 years
I thought
in California.
That was insane.
You're not licensed or representing there, do you? For that case?
No, but the woman who wrote his appeal, Jennifer Bongine, she helped us on the New York appeal. She said, Arthur, the appeal in California is stronger than the New York appeal. So they're very optimistic that he'll win in California.
And he'll be up for health-wise for the trial starting tomorrow.
I mean, he's really hurting, and the judge knows it, and the judge acknowledges it. He told him on last week, you know, we'll take as many breaks as you need. He's in a wheelchair. You know, it's not where anybody would want to be.
Got it.
All right. It all starts.
Yeah, I always thought that believe all women is insane. Pure insanity. As if just because you got a vagina, now you're floating above the ground or something. You know what I mean? That's insane. Think about that for a second. They were basically saying everybody with a vagina cannot lie. Why, you ask? Because they got a vagina. Having a vagina makes so that you don't lie, apparently. That's how insane. That was almost as insane as C-19. Do you know what I mean? C-19 was fucking insane. But that was close. And how everybody, including men, was like, yeah, of course, believe all women. Yeah, most of them either were paid off, blackmailed, or afraid to be the target. So they're like, oh, I believe all women, blah, 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 as long as they don't accuse me of anything. You know what I mean? I believe everything. That was literal insanity. Now, I don't care for this guy. He might be this scumbag, but you still want to be fair. You know what I mean? Like, if he didn't do this, regardless of whatever the fuck you think of this guy, it should still be a fair trial. You know why I say this? Because even if you don't like somebody, you would want them to be treated fairly, because you would want the same thing in return. You would want to be treated fairly as well, you know? Just because somebody don't like somebody it should still be fair.